They found an entire town deep in the wilderness, but according to every official map, it didn't exist. At 3:11 a.m., Deputy Ryan Mercer stood alone beside an abandoned road in the Appalachian Mountains. His flashlight illuminated a weathered wooden sign. 3 words were carved into the wood: Black Hollow. The problem was, no town by that name existed. Not on state maps, not in county records, not even in historical archives. Yet behind the sign stood dozens of houses, a church, a school, and hundreds of lights glowing in the darkness. Someone was living there, but according to every official record, the town had never existed, and by sunrise, it would disappear again. The Appalachian Mountains hold thousands of forgotten stories: mining disasters, abandoned settlements, entire communities swallowed by time. Most are documented, most leave behind records. Black Hollow did not. The first report surfaced in October 1998. A truck driver called emergency dispatch claiming he had become lost during a storm. His GPS failed. Road signs vanished. Then he found a town. The driver described rows of old houses illuminated by yellow porch lights. People walked the streets. Children played near a church. Everything appeared normal, except for one detail. Every vehicle parked in town was decades old, and every resident stared at him without speaking. Dispatch assumed exhaustion. The driver was instructed to leave immediately. When officers later searched the location, there was nothing there, only forest. The report was archived until similar reports began appearing, again and again and again. By 2004, enough sightings existed to attract official attention. Deputy Ryan Mercer volunteered to investigate. Ryan was practical, skeptical. A former military police officer, he expected trespassers, maybe an isolated off-grid community, maybe a hoax, nothing more. On November 14, 2004, he drove toward the reported location. Dense fog covered the mountains. Road visibility dropped to nearly zero. At 3:07 a.m., his GPS stopped functioning. 3 minutes later, he saw the sign. Black Hollow, exactly as described. Ryan parked, stepped out, and entered the town. What he found changed his life forever. The streets appeared frozen in time. Vehicles from the 1940s. Storefronts displaying products decades old. Newspapers dated October 1961. Everything looked untouched, preserved, as though time had simply stopped. Yet the town was alive. People moved through the streets. Families sat on porches. Workers swept sidewalks. Children played baseball. No one appeared surprised by Ryan's presence. But nobody spoke, not a single word. When Ryan asked questions, residents simply stared, watching him, following him with their eyes. The silence felt wrong, not hostile, not fearful, something worse, expectant, as though they already knew why he was there and what would happen next. Near the center of town stood a small elementary school. Lights glowed inside despite the late hour. Ryan entered. Rows of desks remained perfectly arranged. Textbooks sat open. Chalkboards displayed unfinished lessons. The date written on one board read, October 17, 1961. The same date appeared everywhere. Calendars, newspapers, documents. Every clock in the building had stopped at 8:43 p.m. Ryan later admitted that was the moment he first felt genuine fear, because the school wasn't abandoned. Dust covered nothing. Books looked recently used. Someone had been there. Recently. Very recently. Then he heard footsteps above him. Slow, heavy, deliberate. He followed the sound to the second floor and found an empty hallway except for one classroom. The door stood slightly open. Inside sat a single student. A young girl, perfectly still, staring directly toward the doorway, waiting. Ryan approached carefully. The girl looked no older than 10. Dark hair, blue dress, expressionless face. For several seconds neither spoke. Then she whispered, "You're early." The words echoed through the classroom. The first voice Ryan had heard in the town. He asked her name. She ignored the question. Instead she asked, "Did they finally find us?" Ryan felt a chill. "Who?" The girl looked toward the window, toward the forest surrounding Black Hollow. Then she answered, "They never stopped looking." Before Ryan could ask another question, the school bell rang. Every light in the building went out, and the girl disappeared. Not ran away, not hid, disappeared. The chair remained empty. Determined to find answers, Ryan entered the town church. Inside, he discovered hundreds of handwritten documents, birth certificates, marriage records, census records, everything connected to Black Hollow. One record stood out, a newspaper article dated October 18, 1961. The headline read, "Entire town missing after storm." Ryan froze. The article described Black Hollow itself. According to the report, a violent mountain storm struck the region during the night. The next morning, neighboring communities discovered Black Hollow gone, not destroyed, gone. Roads leading to it vanished. Buildings disappeared. Residents could not be located. Search efforts found nothing. The article ended with one sentence: "Authorities believe no survivors remain." Ryan suddenly heard movement outside. Dozens of footsteps, hundreds, approaching the church. When Ryan looked through the window, every resident in town stood outside, silent, motionless, watching the church, watching him. Their faces remained expressionless, yet something had changed. Their eyes. The eyes looked frightened, not of Ryan, of something else, something approaching. Then the church bell began ringing, violently, without stopping. Residents turned toward the surrounding forest, and for the first time, they ran. The fog surrounding Black Hollow thickened instantly. Visibility dropped. Ryan followed fleeing residents toward the town center. Then he heard it, a sound unlike anything he had ever experienced. Not an animal, not machinery. A deep vibration, almost like a voice, coming from everywhere at once. Windows shattered, streetlights exploded, people screamed. The sound grew louder, closer, and then shapes emerged between the trees. Tall figures, far too tall. Their bodies appeared distorted by fog, their movements unnatural, as though reality itself struggled to define their shape. Residents immediately hid inside homes. Doors slammed, curtains closed. The town became silent again, except for the approaching figures. Ryan drew his weapon. The figures continued advancing, and then he noticed something horrifying. Every figure wore human faces, hundreds of faces, layered together, as though multiple people were trapped beneath their skin, including faces from missing person reports he had seen years earlier, faces that should not have been there. Ryan fled into the church. The figures stopped outside, unable or unwilling to enter. Inside, he discovered one final document hidden beneath the altar, a journal written by Black Hollow's pastor. The final entry revealed the truth. In October 1961, townspeople discovered something beneath the nearby mountain, a cavern, ancient, impossible. Inside, they heard voices. Voices promising answers, promises, miracles, lost loved ones returned, dead relatives speaking once more. The town became obsessed. One by one, residents entered the cavern. Something answered them, something ancient, something hungry. Then came the storm, and Black Hollow disappeared, not physically, but somehow removed from normal reality. Trapped, repeating the same night forever, hunted by whatever they had awakened beneath the mountain. The church doors burst open. The tall figures entered. Ryan ran through empty streets, past abandoned houses, toward the road. Behind him, the town began collapsing. Buildings faded, lights vanished. Residents disappeared into mist. The giant figures followed, closer, closer, closer. Then Ryan reached the Black Hollow sign. The moment he crossed it, everything vanished. The town, the figures, the fog. Gone, only forest remained, and complete silence. Authorities never found evidence of Black Hollow. No town records existed. No church, no school, no roads, nothing. Ryan's report was dismissed. Officially, unofficially, other sightings continued. Truck drivers, hunters, hikers, all describing the same town, the same date, the same silent residents, and the same warning, because every witness who encountered the young girl reported hearing identical words. "You're early." Today, satellite imagery still reveals occasional anomalies near the mountains, entire streets appearing briefly before disappearing again, unexplained lights visible during storms, and every few years, emergency dispatch receives a call, weak, distorted, filled with static. The caller always claims to be from Black Hollow. The caller always asks the same question: "Has anyone found us yet?" Then the line goes dead. But perhaps the most disturbing detail is this: investigators eventually traced several calls, not to the mountains, not to any known location, but to coordinates beneath the earth itself, directly below where Black Hollow once stood, as though the town never vanished, as though it is still there, waiting, somewhere below reality. And if another storm rolls through those mountains tonight, the road may appear again, the sign may return, and Black Hollow may be waiting for its next visitor. What do you think happened to Black Hollow? A town trapped between dimensions, an ancient force hidden beneath the mountain, or something far worse still waiting in the darkness? And if you found a town that doesn't exist on any map, would you enter? Let us know your theory in the comments. And subscribe to the Raven Threads for more terrifying mysteries, forgotten legends, and unexplained stories that blur the line between reality and nightmare. Because every thread leads to mystery.